Good morning, Mr. Button. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm good. See my Captain Jack Sparrow? He needs a jersey. He needs a jersey that says Captain Jack on the back.
You know what? You come to town, we'll get you a jersey that says Captain Jack on the back.
Fit him up,
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Were you a big fan of those movies, Craig, or what?
Oh, I loved it. I loved those movies. They were great.
Savvy, right? Isn't that what he used to say all the time? You always go, savvy? Yeah. Craig, as you would assume, the city of Edmonton is in very good spirits today after a win against the Vancouver Canucks. And we can talk about what happened in the final 8 minutes, but how impressed were you with the first 50 minutes from the Oilers last night?
How about first 50 minutes and the past 60 minutes, 110 minutes?
Yeah.
When you think about when I think about the Edmonton Oilers, I was asked this last night a few times, like on the TSN shows. What happened in the last two games? No, it's not what happened in the last two games. It's what happened since Kris Knoblauch took over on November 13th, instilling a sense that there's lots of ways to win. There's lots of ways to be successful, and there was never any question that the Edmonton Oilers had offense. But their game needed to become balanced. It needed to become well-rounded. And you don't just wake up on the morning of Game 6 and go, okay, we're going to have to play some defense here. And that was instilled in the group. It was hardened in the group. It was understood by the group. And it was applied brilliantly in Game 6 and 7. And when you think about giving up 32 shots in 6 periods, I don't know how many people, and I'm not saying this negatively, but Vancouver tied the game or came within one goal with 4 minutes and 36 seconds left in the game. They never had another shot on goal after that.
Yeah.
They never had another shot on goal after that. And the commitment, like everybody's like, everybody says, shot blocking. Well, you know what shot blocking requires? It requires to be in the right spaces. It requires to be able to be disciplined so you can move and be in those shot lanes. I mean, Connor McDavid ends up blocking a shot in the third period. Just nothing big and heavy, but because he's in the right spots. And that, to me, is defensive play. That, to me, is the ability to understand the penalty kill on the 4-minute minor. I mean, those are all things that were ingrained in this team for a long period of time. You're going to need different elements to your game to win at different points in the season, certainly in the playoffs. I think the Edmonton Oilers showed that they can win in multiple ways. And I thought the last two games were dominant performances by the Edmonton Oilers. And, I don't know who said it. Somebody said, in the second period last, there was somebody on the Vancouver side. And they said, we were starting to get our traction. What traction? Like, I'm going, I was trying to replay in my head, what traction we get. If it wasn't for Archer Sheeloffs, it would have been 5-0 midway through the second period. I mean, he was a big reason why the Canucks even had life in those last 5 minutes.
Craig, you did call Kris Knoblauch the maestro, I saw, and it kind of drummed up memories of Kris Knoblauch in somebody's place playing pool, hanging his pants on a thing, and telling you why there's no available rent in Tuscany, that type of thing. But you went over a few good points with Knoblauch, and I think the series. I was also talking with Dusty earlier in the show. I mean, you've seen Pickard play a little bit, which is good moving forward. I mean, you've seen what he can do. Skinner's back. He's got a couple games under his belt. The down 3-2, back against the wall. Letting Vancouver come back but not complete the comeback. The emergence of Dylan Holloway. I mean, what thing are you taking from this hard-fought, all-Canadiana, 7-game series that captured the attention of a nation? And what's that one thing you take from this series that you'd have to move on and to incorporate into this series with the Stars coming up, full 4 lines, all this different opponent, and we'll have time to preview that. But what's the one lesson that this Oilers team can kind of take out of this series and move forward with, do you think?
Well, how about if I'm going to use 2 words, Eric. I'm going to use 2 words: conviction and commitment. And and that starts with the head coach, with the conviction that Calvin Pickard was the right guy. They were down 2-1. Let's keep this. Edmonton won 3 of the last 4 games.
Yeah.
They won 3 of the last 4 games. They were down 2-1 in this series. So the conviction that Kris Knoblauch had in his decision to start Pickard. And then is obviously the conviction, hey, there's going to be a moment. It came back with Stuart Skinner. But the commitment of the team. Coaches talk about what we got to do, and they they put in game plans, and they give the players and the individual players and the team. This is ways we can win. This is ways that we feel can give. You're selling an idea, but the players have to commit. And the players committed. They committed fully. It's hard to make sure that you're the first to the puck. It's hard. Like, you think about that penalty kill, Eric, and it's not the penalty kill per se. And you apply pressure, but it wasn't just that one guy applied pressure. The next player was in position. I know you guys recall this play. There was a play where the puck got dumped in. Skinner, he zipped it up the boards. Edmonton player, I forget who it was, got right there, bumped it back to Ekholm, down the ice it went.
Great play.
It wasn't you remember the play, right? But that was the whole penalty kill. That was the last 2 games. It was a commitment to say, we are going to do the things that are hard. To win, if winning was easy, Eric, everybody would do it. Everybody would do it. But winning isn't easy. It's hard, and it takes a commitment. And so the conviction of the head coach, and he knows his group, and he knows his players, but the commitment that the players told me, it says a lot about their – and I'm not suggesting that Vancouver, they played hard, and certainly Rick Tocchet and his group have a lot to be proud of, but the commitment by the Edmonton Oilers to do the hard things – it's what it takes to win. You don't just say, yeah, everybody starts the season off going, what's your goal? Yeah, we want to win. Okay. And, but who's committed to doing it? It's a whole different ballgame when you get to the commitment. And the Edmonton Oilers, I just committed.
TSN's Craig Button with us here on the Nielsen Show today, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Gear up for game day with Pro-Am. How about the emergence of Dylan Holloway looking like a legitimate impact top 6 forward so far, especially in this series? I thought there was even another level in his game. And you always wonder, like, when's it going to click for a guy? When's it going to click for a guy? And with Holloway, it seems like he's got the confidence now to make plays with the puck, Craig, that he just didn't have it during the regular season. How impressed have you been with him?
Well, massively impressed. I think you nailed it, Dustin. I think it is confidence. I think that the confidence that the coach showed in him, and the confidence now that Dylan has in his own play. And, that turnaround play that he made in the first period, he kind of won. I thought he was going to slip it back to Evander Kane, but he just turned to the top of the circle and he said, I'm confident holding the puck. I'm not giving it up. He made a great shot. Kulak had the rebound, and Sheehoffs made a great save, or it would have been 1-0 right there and then. I don't know if you guys recall this, and but I'll bring it up. Dylan Holloway, when he was at Wisconsin in the last time, he ended up breaking his hand. He ended up breaking his wrist, and he ended up having surgery. Quite frankly, the surgery was botched. And then Dylan had to have the surgery done again at the beginning of the next season. And that type of injury in your hand absolutely is going to impact and affect your puck handling. It's going to impact your shooting. And and then it impacts your confidence. Now you're trying to come in. There's expectations of you. And I think that the health of Dylan Holloway, the confidence of Dylan Holloway are all on display. The year that he left Wisconsin, his second year at Wisconsin, Cole Caulfield won the Hobey Baker. The second best player in college hockey that year was Dylan Holloway. He was a dominant college hockey player. And I think when I'm seeing him play now, I'm seeing him now back to that level of play. And when you get back to that level of play where you can impact the game, your confidence is going to go up. And certainly with Holloway and Draisaitl and Kane on a line, there's balance now in those top 2 lines. Kris Knoblauch using all 4 lines, having the confidence and the trust, back to confidence, right? And and I just want to say this: I thought Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the last 2 games was brilliant.
He was
simply brilliant, like in so many different ways. But tell me what player didn't give a really good version, if not the best version of themselves in these last 2 games. It was complete.
Excellent team.
It wasn't easy.
No, the Canucks certainly didn't make it easy. The Oilers needed 2 very good complete games, or for the most part complete games, to finish this series off. Now, one more guy that I want to get to, and then we'll take a look ahead to how they match up against Dallas here with Craig Button from TSN. Evan Bouchard has become the first defenseman to hit 20 points through 2 rounds and outplayed Quinn Hughes in this series. Quinn Hughes probably going to win the Norris Trophy this year. So what does this mean? What does this mean, Craig, with how well Bouchard played against the Canucks?
What I think gets missed, and I do think it gets missed, is he's really good defensively now. And it's not that he didn't understand how to play defense. His commitment to defense is really positive. And Kris Knoblauch post game last night talked about playing against Evan when he was coaching in Erie, and he talked about Evan. And Evan has this kind of calm, poised, laissez-faire demeanor about him. But so did Sergei Zubov. And Sergei Zubov is in the Hall of Fame. And, he was part of our Dallas teams. He was a great defenseman, and you couldn't rattle him. And I think that's the same thing with Evan Bouchard. But you watch him, and his game has reached a level now where the detail in his game, and the way he plays, he's always been a smart, crafty player. But now he understands that, okay, but I got to be hard there. I got to be strong on the puck there. I mean, he had his struggles in Game 5, but every player's going to have their struggles at different points. But he's a number 1 defenseman. He's not a top pair defenseman anymore. He's a number 1 defenseman. And those types of players don't come along very often, and it takes some time for them to reach that level. But I think now the fact of the matter is he's reached that level. You see what he can do playing so well in all areas of the game, and it's significant for the Edmonton Oilers. And him and Ekholm, I thought that the switch, Desharnais putting him with Nurse was really good. Kulak with Ceci. There was so much made of the Nurse Ceci combination, and sometimes you're looking for a different type of complementary defenseman. I think Kris Knoblauch found it with Desharnais with Nurse and Kulak with Ceci. I think it really turned into 3 really good pairs. And we talked about Bouchard, and I know, he's a top 10 defenseman in the league at this point, top 12, whatever you want to call him. But how about Vincent Desharnais? How well he's played.
Yeah, he was smooth. I thought he was very smooth in the last few games. And you're right, the flipping of Desharnais with Nurse.
It's the maestro again.
Huge in the series, I think, because Nurse and Ceci were taking it pretty good. Rick, what were you
I got to ask Eric a question. So do you think before the game that Kris Knoblauch comes in and hangs up his suit in the coach's office to make sure
hangs the pants to maintain the perfect crease, right? Isn't that what Bob was doing? Yeah. I love that. Moving forward, and I know it's a celebratory day here in Edmonton, Craig, and for right reason. People are at work, eyes half open, that type of thing. But moving forward, Game 1 Thursday, down in the Big D, the Dallas Stars, another rivalry, if you will, between the Oilers and Stars, kind of reigniting and renewing. 10,000-yard glance this morning. What can you tell us? We know it's a deep team, the 4 lines, the goaltending, the blue line, and we know that each of these series, you keep going, it's going to get a lot tougher from the Kings to the Canucks. I do feel that there's maybe a bit more of a gap between the Canucks and the Stars. There was between the Kings and Canucks, perhaps. I don't know. But what can you tell us and the fans here about the Stars here as we look towards Game 1 Thursday down in Dallas?
One of the things, I think one of the biggest things for the Edmonton Oilers, and one of the challenges that they're going to face that's going to be a little bit harder playing against the Dallas Stars and the Canucks and the Kings, is that the Dallas Stars are going to threaten you offensively. The Kings are not a great offensive team. The Vancouver Canucks are not a good offensive team. The Dallas Stars are a good offensive team. We know how good they are defensively. The Edmonton Oilers are good defensively. I know there's going to be a lot of chatter about Ottinger and the Dallas Stars have an edge in net, and I think that's fair. But when you look at what Stuart Skinner did in the last 2 games, 3 goals against in both those games, and must-win games. Let's call it what it is. And Jake Ottinger's a good goaltender, but I think that the Dallas Stars have a much, much better offense than either of the 2 teams the Oilers just faced. So I think that now is going to become just a harder. Can they play good defense, the Edmonton Oilers? Absolutely they can. But the LA Kings, not great offensively. And the Vancouver Canucks, they turned around this season. They were a really good defensive team. They were not a good offensive team. And they found ways to win in the playoffs, grinding it out versus Nashville. taking it to 7 games, with some really good goaltending and some really good defensive play, but their offense was not great. The Dallas Stars have a really good offense. That to me is the biggest difference that the Oilers are going to face in the Western Conference Final as opposed to their first 2-round opponents.
Craig, as always, man, we love breaking it down with you, and we got another series to do it, so it should be a lot of fun. You have a good day.
It will be a lot of fun. Hey, listen, I was part of the Dallas Stars, and we had those great series versus the Edmonton Oilers. I know what Ken Hitchcock said. Ken Hitchcock said those series against the Edmonton Oilers made the Dallas Stars a harder, a tougher team, and really spurred them on to lots of success. So if they can get back to that level and we can get that type of excitement for both teams and both cities, buckle up.
Oh, it's going to be good. There we go. That's Craig Button from TSN, and he collects Jack Sparrow figurines, which I had no idea. I mean,
put it on the map.
Put it down. What'd you learn on the show today? Craig Button has Jack Sparrow figurines.